Hey YouTube, Rob again, bringing you a brand new video. Today I'm just sort of continuing on in my sort of films from my anime collection. It's sort of been a while since I've sort of made a video sort of showing off, just films in my collection. I'm actually going to sort of talk about sort of two films today, and I'm not necessarily on my list. I do have a list of sort of movies that I wanted to sort of talk about sort of in this series, ongoing series. And these sort of weren't in that list, but I did sort of watch both of them yesterday and thought I might, make a video and sort of give you my thoughts on them. As you can probably tell by the title, talking about the two Cars movies, the two Pixar movies. We'll talk about Cars first. Now this is a film I've only sort of seen once before, and obviously watched the second time yesterday. But it is actually a film that I actually do quite enjoy. But I've sort of gone on to IMDb, and I'm actually quite surprised that it does actually get sort of mixed reviews. Some people say it's one of the best Pixar movies and their favourite movie by Pixar, and other people say it's one of the worst, a terrible film, type thing. But I mean, I've always thought it was a really good movie. I just think it's really good. I just sort of like the story to it and the characters and the animation, and I just think it's a really good movie. I think the movie stuff came out I think in 2006. I don't think it didn't win Best Animated Feature though, which was a bit of a surprise, I think. Happy Feet, I think, won back in 2006. I have sort of watched Happy Feet, and I think to be honest, I think that's a pretty terrible movie, to be honest. I only sort of seen it once, but yeah, it was a terrible movie from what I remember. I'm pretty sure Cars should have won. A lot of people sort of complain about the storyline to it, and it is a bit of a sort of I wouldn't say it's a rip-off, I suppose, but it does sort of copy, elements from other films and storylines from another film. But I mean, sort of what film doesn't? I mean, very sort of similar to the Doc Hollywood movie with Michael J. Fox, where he sort of city boy, and he's on his way to, I think pretty sure it's New York or somewhere, and he's got this big sort of job lined up, like a job interview, and I can't remember exactly what the storyline is, but he sort of ends up, in this sort of backyard sort of town. So he gets stuck there. I think he needs to get his car fixed or something. This is sort of similar sort of premise to this one as well. Lightning McQueen is like a very sort of famous race car, and sort of driving cross country to get to his next competition sort of thing, and sort of gets I won't sort of go into the details of what happens, I suppose, but he does sort of get sidetracked and does end up in this sort of small sort of hick town, or whatever you want to call it, on sort of Route 66, which is obviously used to be a big sort of sort of highway type thing for travellers and stuff, but now they've built a bypass past the Route 66, so not many sort of cars sort of go that way anymore type thing. He's sort of stuck there, and he doesn't sort of want to be there, and he's got to sort of help him retar the road. But he sort of, obviously, as you can see, he does sort of end up sort of liking it there, and he does sort of he's very sort of, at the beginning of the film, he's very sort of cocky, and I'm the best racer, and very sort of selfish in some ways, and of course once he sort of gets into the town there for a week, he does sort of start to mellow and realize it's not all about him, and it's not to sort of help out other people and think about other people and stuff. But I just sort of love the story. A lot of other people complain about the fact that there's no humans in the movie, and the movie doesn't make sense. You can't have cars without people. Sort of those comments, but I just think it's ridiculous. Like it's a bloody kids movie. Just let it go. Use your imagination, and I just think it's really quite clever the way they sort of try to add these sort of human elements to all these cars, and it doesn't really matter that it doesn't necessarily make complete sense, and like cars can't hang signs up or paint buildings, or just people just overthinking too much. And I mean, the storyline, it does obviously is sort of Doc Hollywood, but also any other sort of movie that where you sort of have a city boy or city people travelling cross country, and end up in a sort of a quiet sort of town, and it's not necessarily a good experience. Well, in this case, it's a good experience, but you know what I mean. Like, you can get a horror movie like that, and lots of other sort of movies, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a really good. I don't understand quite the hate for it and why people didn't like it that much. So that's Cars. Next one obviously is Cars 2, which I think it's 2011. It's actually one that I haven't heard a lot of really bad things about. So I was sort of a bit sort of hesitant on picking it up because I had heard it was pretty awful and pretty terrible and stuff. But I did sort of watch it yesterday, and I actually thought it was really good. I was actually quite surprised at how good it was, considering that people, absolutely trash it from what I hear. I mean, I can sort of see, not necessarily, it's a lot different to the first movie, and it's a bit more sort of ambitious and a bit more over the top and more action and more bigger and better, top, which is, what happens in any sort of sequel usually, This one's probably a bit more complicated to explain. It's sort of got sort of two parallel sort of storylines. You've got sort of McQueen, and he's sort of been asked to sort of go to Italy and sort of race against a Formula One car. And they've also got this part of the rules is they've got to sort of use this new sort of organic fuel. And we sort of find out that's sort of why they're sort of, because it's like sort of three different races, and during the races some of the cars sort of blow up, and so I think maybe there might be something wrong with this fuel. And you also got the other storyline. We've got Mita, which is the McQueen's sort of best friend from the first movie, and he sort of accidentally sort of gets involved in this sort of with spies, and they're trying to find out, obviously why these sort of cars blowing up, and what the conspiracy is, and sort of who's sort of behind it all, and he's sort of even sort of the I think it's like the British intelligence thinks that he's actually a spy, so he goes along with them to try and to help out type of thing. Obviously that's very sort of similar storyline again. I suppose if you want to get into saying it's a copy from other movies, sort of also one with Ron Atkinson, Johnny English and the Pink Panther, and a really obscure one, Condor Man with Michael Crawford. A great movie. You should check it out if you ever find it somewhere. So sort of got this sort of spy sort of action flick with cars with sort of machine guns attached and gadgets and sort of cars sort of flying around and sort of dangling off wires and sort of really sort of over the top. But it's it's a very sort of fun movie, and I still quite enjoy it. It's probably a bit more sort of sillier perhaps than the first one, but I still thought it was if you sort of forget that it's not in reality or whatever, it is actually quite an entertaining movie, and just perhaps a little bit over the top maybe. So that's sort of Cars 2. Good fun movies. I mean, I think this is sort of both great movies, I think. I can't understand necessarily the hate for both of them. So that's the Cars movies. That's my sort of quick thoughts on them. If you've sort of seen any of these movies, leave me a comment and tell me your thoughts. If you didn't like them, that's fair enough. Just leave me a comment and say why you didn't like them, or if you did like them, whatever. So hopefully I might post another one of these films from my anime collection style video again sometime soon. And but for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.